Welcome back, warrior. Okay, we are reading Genesis chapter 14. And this one has a lot of names. So we're going to just try and read all the things. And it doesn't matter how I'm reading the names, okay? But just so we get the gist of it before we butcher all the names, we're just going to read this real quick. It says, there were 4 kings, Amraphel, Arioch, Chedorlaomer, and Tidal, who joined forces and attacked many of the cities in the area, including the city of Sodom, where Lot was now living. Lot had gone from pitching his tent towards Sodom to now living in Sodom. During this battle, Lot was taken captive along with his goods. When Abraham learned of what happened, he armed his own servants and went after the king's armies. Ultimately, Abraham was victorious, Lot was freed, and his goods were redeemed. Okay, so that's like the gist of the whole thing. Some local kings then honored Abraham, including Melchizedek, who recognized, it's getting so hot now that I'm walking, who recognized that God was the true strength behind Abraham. And we learned that Melchizedek was the priest of the Most High God, and Melchizedek blessed Abraham. But the Joseph Smith translation restores many truths lost from these verses. If you look in your appendix, you will find the JST for Genesis 14:25-40. The restored scripture is so extensive that it does not fit in the footnotes, right? So in the Joseph Smith translation, we learned the following. Melchizedek was a man of faith. Melchizedek wrought righteousness, wrought meanings formed by work. Melchizedek was a child. He stopped the mouths of lions and quenched fire. Melchizedek was approved of God and was ordained a high priest. Melchizedek obtained peace in Salem and was called the Prince of Peace. The people in Salem obtained heaven and sought for the city of Enoch. And there's a BYU Sperry Symposium, Frank F. Judd Jr. explained this. Melchizedek was privileged to lead a life remarkably similar to Enoch's. Both of these great men held the same priesthood authority, performed similar miracles, received temple blessings, and established Zion communities, and were along with their people, eventually translated and taken up to heaven. Frank F. Judd Jr., Melchizedek seeking after the Zion of Enoch, Sperry Symposium Classics, the Old Testament. So God appointed Melchizedek to receive tithes for the poor, wherefore Abram paid unto him tithes of all that he had, of all the riches which he possessed. And that's in the JST, Genesis 14:39. So just as Enoch, Melchizedek used his priesthood and preached the gospel with such effectiveness that he and his people were able to create Zion among them. Both Enoch and Melchizedek were types of Christ, doing all they could to bring people salvation. Because of this, we call the higher priesthood after Melchizedek. And notice the interaction that Abraham also had with the king of Sodom, who also wanted to honor Abraham. The king wanted to give goods to Abraham, but Abraham refused and said, I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich. Abraham did not trust the king of Sodom and his intentions, so Abraham refused to take even a thread. Ooh, that's actually like really smart, right? Really smart businessman right there. Okay, so now we're going to read, right here. Parents, it could be an interesting conversation with your children to write not even a thread on a piece of paper and discuss what wisdom Abraham is giving them that they could apply to their lives. That's a good idea. Okay, so we're going to read verse 1. And again, it's going to go back and forth on all the names, and I'm going to be really sad because I can't pronounce them all the right way, but we're going to get through it. Okay, so when it came to pass, in the days of Amraphel, a king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Amda, All these were joined together in the vale of Siddim, which is the salt sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims in Ashtaroth, Karnaim and Zuzims in Ham, and the Emims in Shaveh Kiriathaim. It is a good thing I read to you like the preface. We're just reading this so that we can say that we read it, right? Because we can't count that we read the Old Testament in the complete sense unless we actually read the words, right? So we will be blessed for this. Verse 6. And the Horites in their mount Seir unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness, and they returned and came to En Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazon Tamar. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zor, and they joined battle with them in the vale of Siddim, with Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and with title king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. And the vale of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and they that remained fled to the mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, so his nephew, so Lot is Abraham's nephew, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And there came one that had escaped, and told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Habah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of which is the king's Dali. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And he gave him tithes of all. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lift up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread, even to a shoe latchet, that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich, save only that which the young men have eaten, and a portion of the men which went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. Okay, that is the end of Genesis chapter 14. Okay, the Read It Live It for chapter 14 says this. And when, sorry, I had to turn to see if there's more light. This is the one. So it's based on verse 14. Actually, I'm just going to read verse 14 from here. Hello. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them into Dan. Okay, so the moment Abram heard that Lot was in trouble, and remember, it's not his actual brother, it's his nephew, it's his brother's son, okay? The moment Abram heard that Lot was in trouble, he responded, and not just a little, but with 318 of his trained servants, all for one brother, like one brother, you know. Abram knew he was worth it. Ooh, I love that, right? So anyway, the challenge is to respond. All right, until Genesis chapter 15, stay strong, warrior.